I never imagined my life would take such a turn. One moment, I was living my ordinary life, juggling my career and personal ambitions, and the next, I found myself standing at the altar with a man I barely knew, my bodyguard, Daniel. It all began 2 years ago when I got a promotion at work that also came with a not-so-welcome perk: threats. Some unknown people had decided that my success was a problem, and I received anonymous messages warning me to stop or face consequences. At first, I laughed it off, thinking it was a prank, but the fear slowly crept in, like a shadow I couldn't shake off. That's when Daniel entered my life. Strong, silent, and impossibly handsome, he was the kind of man who radiated calm authority. Assigned to me as my personal bodyguard, he took his job seriously, observing every little detail around me, anticipating threats before they appeared. He never smiled much, but the rare times he did, it made my heart skip. At first, I didn't like him. I hated the way he followed me everywhere, the way he seemed to know my every move. I felt trapped, like a bird in a cage. I resented the way he made me feel safe. It reminded me too much of my own vulnerability. But over time, something shifted. It started with small gestures. Him holding the door open for me when I was tired, walking a little closer when he sensed danger, or giving me that reassuring look when my panic rose. I began noticing his laugh during our rare moments of downtime. And then, I realized I was thinking about him when he wasn't around. The turning point came one stormy night. I was working late at the office, and a fire alarm suddenly went off. Panic erupted in the building. Smoke filled the corridors, and everyone scrambled to exit. Daniel was there immediately, guiding me, shielding me from the chaos. When a falling piece of ceiling threatened to hit me, he pushed me out of the way, taking the full impact on himself. I watched, frozen, as he grimaced in pain but insisted I get out first. In that moment, I realized I couldn't deny my feelings anymore. I cared for him more than I should have. And perhaps, just perhaps, he cared for me too. Months passed, and our bond deepened. We spent more time together outside of work, learning about each other's worlds. I discovered his past, a childhood marked by struggle, a promise he made to his younger brother to protect people, and a life dedicated to serving others. He wasn't just a bodyguard, he was a man of honor, loyalty, and quiet strength. It wasn't easy. Society had its opinions, and I had my own fears. Marrying your bodyguard wasn't exactly conventional. People would whisper, speculate, and judge. But every time I looked into Daniel's eyes, all that noise faded. He made me feel safe, cherished, and, more importantly, loved. Then came the day he proposed. It wasn't in a grand setting or a luxurious getaway. No, it was in the office late one evening, just the two of us. I was reviewing documents when I noticed him standing silently by the window. Before I could ask what was wrong, he knelt, holding a simple ring, and said, "I've spent my life protecting others. But now, I want to spend my life protecting you, as your husband. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred my vision as I nodded, my heart bursting with a joy I had never known. We married quietly, surrounded by only a few close friends. And just like that, my life changed forever. The first few months were a mixture of bliss and adjustment. Daniel wasn't just my husband, he was still my protector. He insisted on accompanying me everywhere, even to places I insisted were safe. I initially resisted, but over time, I realized it was part of him, part of the man I had grown to love. Life after marriage wasn't without its challenges. The past threats we thought had vanished resurfaced unexpectedly. One evening, as I returned from a business dinner, someone tried to break into my apartment. Daniel's instincts kicked in before I even realized it. Within seconds, he had disarmed the intruder, securing our home. That night, I hugged him tightly, understanding for the first time the true depth of his devotion. But it wasn't all danger and drama. There were quiet, tender moments that made every challenge worth it. Sunday mornings spent in the kitchen, Daniel brewing coffee while I made breakfast, evenings watching movies on the couch, him holding my hand, our laughter echoing through the apartment. Trips to the park where we'd simply walk, talking about dreams, fears, and the future. And yet, even in these moments, the unusual nature of our relationship lingered. Friends and family still struggled to understand. "You married your bodyguard?" my sister asked incredulously. I simply smiled, knowing that love doesn't follow rules or expectations, it follows the heart. Then came the ultimate test of our bond. A rival from Daniel's past, someone who had always envied his skill and courage, appeared in our lives with a vendetta. It started with threatening messages and escalated to attempts on our lives. Every day became a test, pushing Daniel to the edge and testing my faith in us. But love, as I discovered, was stronger than fear. Together, we navigated the danger, relying on trust, communication, and the unshakable bond we had forged. We emerged not only unscathed, but stronger, our marriage deepened by the trials we faced. Looking back now, I realize how extraordinary this journey has been. I never expected to find love in the arms of my bodyguard, but life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. Daniel is not just my protector, he is my confidant, my partner, my best friend, and the love of my life. I often think about the irony of it all, how fear brought us together, and how that fear transformed into a love so fierce, it could withstand anything. My life after marrying my bodyguard is nothing short of incredible, filled with moments of joy, laughter, and yes, even danger. But most importantly, it is filled with love, a love I never knew existed, until I looked into the eyes of the man who had been watching over me all along. And now, as I write this, I can say with certainty that life has a funny way of showing you what you need most. Sometimes, the person you least expect becomes the one you can't live without. For me, that person is Daniel, my bodyguard, my husband, my everything. If you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more incredible tales.